everyone, I'm Deb from debwebbart. So recently I had a little trip to the hospital and unexpected, yes, painful, very. And I had to stay for a few days. So while I was there wasn't very good internet. And what this did was it actually pushed me to doing more of other things. So my family had dropped off a puzzle book. I was engrossed in that, but there's only so much of that you can do. There's only so much. I mean, the television, it was awful. So I don't normally watch TV. So I didn't watch that, but I found other ways to occupy myself. And one of the ways was to obviously create. So that's why we're here. So I wanted to show you some things that I created that that was fairly simple, not terribly taxing, and also how to, just bring that mojo with you when you're in the hospital, you're undergoing x-rays and blood tests and scans and all these, things you'd rather not be undergoing. But you can find a way towards creativity. And when you do that, you actually lift yourself up higher. And it's hard enough staying in the hospital. It's hard enough being away from family and your regular routines and then having to relearn how to walk properly again, or in my case, so in order to try and make it easier on yourself, let's see if there's a few things we can do. And obviously, main thing for me is to create. So I just asked my family to bring, because bear in mind, this was an emergency, so I hadn't prepared. I didn't have my, all my art stuff out there. So I just asked them, I sent them a little message to say, especially my girls know me quite well and they often are in my art room, so they know where to look and what to find, and they did a brilliant job. I just said, can you fetch my coloured pencils? Now I don't do a lot of coloured pencil stuff, so but I thought, well, they're the easiest things. Fetch my coloured pencils and a small journal. Didn't know which journal they were going to bring, but good part, they bought this cute little one, right? And so that was all I had. I didn't have anything else. I didn't have the ability to look up on the internet, all the Pinterest ideas, etc. So I just sat there and I was looking around the room. This is not the exact cup, but I was looking around the room and I saw, my water cup, a little paper water cup. And I thought, oh, I know, I'll do circles. And then I saw a little, it was, once again, not this because I left it all there, a little kind of medicine dispenser, where they put the little tablets in. I saw that, also circular. So I was like, I love circles. Let's see what I can create. So I had a page that I unfortunately had painted all black. It was this amazing paint that I love, which is called Payne's Grey, So Flat, golden, okay, and beautiful, because if you paint with it, you can actually paint however you like, and somehow it just smooths itself out, and it's brilliant. So it's really nice to create on top of. So I just did, now I will be showing you more in detail, but I did this painting, this double page spread. I just had so much fun literally creating the base with the circles, tracing around the cups, and then creating within that. And so very much of a kind of neurological way of creating. I did another one that I didn't particularly like, but it was fun to do, which was what I usually refer to as my Jane Davenport girl, because she's got this long flowing hair. And then I just did lines. But you know what's great? Is if you don't like something, you can turn the page or you can just close your book. Don't have to show it to anyone. And then lastly, I did some really quirky birds. Okay. And I hadn't finished them off properly. I did that when I got back home. What I really found very liberating about this was that I could just, it was a way of just removing yourself from what was going on. I was very fortunate because I had a single room, so I was in my own room. I always asked them to close the door, and I put my music on. I put my music on, but even if you're not in a single room, even if you're in a ward, have your headphones on, put your music on, remove yourself as much as you can from what's going on, and just have time to yourself. Because I think that's probably one of the worst things about being in hospital. You're just not alone for the most times. And if you're in a ward, even less so. It's a very difficult and challenging time. So if you can get yourself a journal and just some colored pencils, you can just have some fun creating in hospital. Okay, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you a few things you can do and you can use to create in hospital. Unfortunately, because of the internet and that, it was very spotty and very, very poor reception, so it meant that I couldn't even watch YouTube, which was, it was a very big challenge. But at the same time, it also, when I came back home, I had kind of got out of the habit, so it's good as well as being challenging. But I want to show you today what sort of things you could create if you were ever in a situation where you just didn't have access to a huge amount of art materials. Let's see what can stimulate us in a very simple way and what we can create. Let's see what happens. So recently I was gifted this cute little journal. It's a watercolor paper. Now it feels like it's quite stiff, so I would guess around 300 GSM. And I have no idea on the quality of this. It kind of looks like cold press. And then, so I'm going to test that out today. This would be the perfect size to take with you if you were going to hospital. Or, you know, we hope not, but in the event that you were, it's a perfect size. It also has these cute little envelope here, which is really nice if you're wanting to tuck in, I don't know, some small stencils or small shapes or something that you know you could potentially use in this situation. So it's also a really good little addition. And there you go. So let's see. I'll do some experimenting on this today, and we'll see what this is actually like. Right, so as you can see, you're literally just pulling little bits of tape off and just sticking them down. I've obviously sped this up so that you don't have to watch every single part of it. But basically, you can do it as fast or as slow as you like. It's a mindful exercise. So it's quite calming. And that's why I thought of including it in here. You just need a few tapes. You don't even need scissors if you don't want to. But honestly, it's just one of the easiest things. And then later on you can paint over it if you want and use those designs, like I'll show you a little bit later. So the only thing you would need to take to hospital would be your little journal that you're going to work in, a few tapes. You don't have to take a whole lot of washi tapes. I just put a whole lot there because I like the variety of colour, but you don't need to do that. You could make them all black and white. Just choose some colours that you think will work well together, and then some scissors if you need any trimming, right? But you could do it so that you don't need trimming. You could make that your goal, so then you wouldn't need the scissors. And it's very cathartic. The actual idea is just to stick a whole lot down and just enjoy yourself. It's a very cathartic process. You can still change this into something. What I would do when you get home is I would put matte medium on top of that, and just to kind of seal it so that none of the pieces lift up, because with washi tape sometimes the edges can kind of roll, and then you can turn it into something. Okay, I did a very wacky one the other day like this, and I happened to have quite a few of there's a tape that I've got that has eyes. It's a Jane Davenport tape. And so I happened to have stuck quite a few, and there were a lot of eyes peering out, and I just went, why don't I turn those into faces? And so then I just drew that and decided to make these a whole lot of women, and then I chose some words. So this was obviously after hospital, and then I chose some words. She might have chosen another path for one split second. Water washed away something amazing. And those were just found words. So it's like found poetry. And underneath all this is literally the same as this. So, you can then turn it into something if you want, or you can just enjoy this particular process. I have got another video on using washi tape and creating. I've got one that creates 3 cats, and I will the video is showing on the screen now. So if I'm not successful putting a link to it in the video, I'll put a link to it below the video. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Right, so in this next one, I've just turned the page, and one of the other ways you can entertain yourself while in hospital or bedridden of sorts is to have a little travel set which is watercolor. So it could be one like this. I can't remember the make of this because it was so long ago, and it doesn't have any distinguishing marks. Anyway, something like this, or you could use the Gansai Tenbi Kiritaki ones as well. So for the sake of what I'm going to do today, I'm going to choose this little no-name brand one. And really, if you are wanting to do more watercolor at this while you have your little time away from home, and when I say that I mean hospital visit or whatever, but it could also be for a girls' weekend away. If sometimes you just want to take small amounts and you want something easy. But I was bedridden, to a certain extent, so I had to stay mostly in my bed and have things close to me. So I'm choosing just a few things, which makes it a smaller space. So you would obviously need to get someone to bring you water, and then if you were wanting to choose watercolor, you would need a little spritzer spray so that you can spray all your colors, just easier. At least one brush, and then your water that you get from there. So that's not too bad. In this instance, you could also include a pencil. If you're one of those people who likes to do like illustrative type stuff, you might want to do that. And bearing in mind, you can use it that way or you can use it that way. Okay. So the only negative with watercolor is that obviously it takes a little while to dry. So you might just need to bear that in mind, think about how you're doing things, what you're doing, and then you can always put this aside open somewhere just to dry. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so in this particular one, I quite like drawing my design first. I was actually inspired by, I think her name is Michelle Donaldson. I can't quite remember, but yeah, it's one of those simple designs that you can do in many different ways, and so it's a little bit of fun. The colours that I put together are probably questionable, but hey, main thing is that I had a bit of fun.
And what I like about just drawing things like leaves is they don't even have to make sense. They can just be, in general, a leaf shape, you know. Yeah, that's what I like about why I always go back to the leaf kind of shape as well. And then I went back in a little bit later when it had dried and just put in some brown slash bit of charcoal kind of colours just to give the element of shadow, and then went back in like you do with a lot of watercolours. Watercolours in general, you can paint once depending on the style that you're doing, but you can also then go back in and do shading, put little pock holes in the rocks, that kind of thing. So it turned out quite cute in the end.
Right, so another thing you can do, you can use when you are incapacitated in some sort, whether it's in hospital, in your bed, wherever it is, you're wanting to use as few ingredients as you can, or supplies, should I say, then something like the Derwent pencils, which are called Inktense. And what I like about Inktense pencils is that it's like ink in a pencil. So once they've been put down, you can't re-wet them. Okay, so they're not watercolor. That's the big difference. And also they come in these incredibly vibrant colors. Now what I suggest whenever you're doing anything with Inktense pencils, because they really don't reflect their true colors, is to a swatch, okay? Because when you see what the color is here and then you add water, it's pretty different. Same there. Color, add water, it pops. It really comes alive when you add water. So in something like this, if you are in a hospital, you could ask them for a little paper cup and get some water in there. You can have this pre-prepared, hopefully, but if you haven't, then always make sure you've got a spare piece of paper hanging around, and then you can just test them out. So I've just chosen a few, just for ease of doing what I've got here. I've sketched out a little pot with some leaves in it, and then like a line to make it look like it's sitting on a table. Now the other thing you can do is, I couldn't quite find my other ones because I've got more, is to use an aqua pen. Now an aqua pen is just the easiest in the sense that you don't have to have water near you. Okay, if you've got all those things, great, but if you haven't, an aqua pen is one of the best things because it comes with different size brush tips, and this one's quite fine, and then it comes with the empty container, and you just get some water and you fill this up, and then you would gently squeeze it down to get the water to activate, to come down, and it's already activating for me, but you would squeeze it down. Then every time you're going to change color, you would paint. Then when you're going to change color, you would gently squeeze and wipe it off. Now I often wipe it off on my hand. I think it's just a habit, because then when I see it's run clear, then I know I can carry on. But just depending on if you've got any things on your hands that you can't get wet, then obviously just on a paper towel or a piece of tissue or something, and that will help you. So I'm going to show you how that all works. It works very similar to a watercolor pencil, which is another pencil you could use. And so with these you would color in, and you don't even have to press hard. You just color in lightly, because it's so vibrant you don't even need that much color. But you'll see when I show you how I did this. Okay, let's have a look.
All right, so I used very little pencil. So when you're colouring in with this, I just coloured in with a bit of like a orangey, reddy colour, and then the yellow. And honestly, you hardly push down. It's very friendly on the fingers, and it's quite satisfying because it does look really cute. I must admit that the colour that I used for the way the pot was standing on was, honestly, it's an ugly colour. So I'll go back and change that.
Right, so the next and last one that I'm going to show you that can be absolutely used when you are bedridden or in hospital are these amazing Faber-Castell Albrecht watercolor markers. Okay, they have a double point, so on this side you've got a very fine point, and then on the other side you've got more of a brush marker. Now I must admit I usually use the brush marker, but both can be used in this situation. So what I like about them is that they're very juicy, and of course they're watercolor markers, so you can just add water and have a beautiful painting or picture as well. So these are nice and simple because you can pop them into a pencil case and then take them with you. Okay, I've obviously just got mine in this little basket because I'm currently in my art studio. The one thing to note with these is it's really good idea if you can make yourself a swatch, and it just helps when it comes to picking colors and that sort of thing. It does. You'll notice that I've got some colors over here, and I'm just going to make some flowers today. So I've just picked up a few colors and I'm going to dot them around. Now with these sorts of things you can do it and leave it. I tend to create with them and almost immediately I then put water on because I kind of want to, I don't know, I think maybe I lack faith, but I kind of want to get things moving straight away so I can see what it's looking like. So let's have a look at how I use these. You can, if you've got a watercolor brush or something like that with you, you can use that with some water, or you can, maybe you've got one of these aqua brushes, and then you could use those as well. So very portable, you don't need a lot of stuff, and easily create from there. All right, let's see what they do.
So I've had these markers for quite a while, and I honestly forgot how much fun they are. They're so vibrant and lush. So, and just making really simple marks. There's little circle ones, little like almost like a V type shape, and you just dot it around, and then eventually that becomes your flowers. It's very simplistic, but also, I don't know, this one I just found was a lot of fun. I've done some little sceneries with these pens, and they are a really fun thing to play with, especially when you just need some simple materials, you know. So you just add some green stalks and look at that, like bang. It pops and suddenly it looks really fun. And I mean, I could have actually stopped there, in the sense that you don't have to colour them in. You can just leave it. Yeah, so I think that is a really fun one. And I also think it does make me wonder if you how this would go if you sprayed, like did more of a spray. You know, when you do something that's water activated and you spray it and see if it just kind of blends. So I used light phthalo blue to do the background. Obviously, this is something you would do later on when you'd got back from the hospital or whatever, where you then had more access to your materials. But I quite like filling in things like this. People go, why don't you do the background first? I actually like filling things in because that's another step in the taking it slow and being mindful with art. You know, it's really fun. There's something very satisfying about it. So I must admit, this particular art supply I would definitely recommend if you haven't delved into this world already. It's the Faber-Castell Albrecht pens, markers, really fun. And the coloured pencils that they do match these colours perfectly as well. So all round really good.
Right, so once you've painted the background, I mean, you don't, and that's the thing, because if you are stuck and you don't have access to paint for the background, well, just leave it. Just leave it. It can be background painted or not. That's the thing about this technique. It's just so fun and easy. But you can also then afterwards, when things are dry and you're looking at it and you're thinking, just want a little bit more definition in certain places, well, then grab something that's complementary colour, or that's, you know, a little bit, just a bit darker than what you used, and just add little bits. And what you must know is that, as you can see, a tiny bit actually goes a long way. Now the other thing you can note is that you don't have to put the colour on there. You can also dab this with your brush so that you can do some subtle marks instead of actually having the dark there. Okay, so you can do it either way, and then yeah, just play. It really depends on you. If you are having so much fun with the page that you just want to keep going, well then keep going. That's what art's about, isn't it? It's about the joy and the fun. I mean, look how much nicer that part looks. It looks a little bit special. Right. So this was just to demonstrate to you that, you know, you can go in and already that's looking just great. So that's all I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be going in here and just, you know, touching up a few areas. So you don't have to see me do it necessarily, but so here we had already done this part, but it wasn't like that dark because I did it with taking it from there, and I like, there's something I do quite like having a bit of a contrast. It just, I don't know, brings a bit of life into it, doesn't it? That's really good. Well, not necessarily the artwork, but just the amount of fun I'm having. That's really good. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is stop there. And I'll do this on my own and then take a photo and show you. Well, thanks so much for being here with me and listening to me ramble on. Let's just recap. So the first thing that you can take in the sense of if you're going on a hospital visit is coloured pencils, one of the easiest things. Obviously, we're, you know, a journal. And then you could take some washi tape. You could take some washi tape and make a little collage. You could take watercolor pencils, you could take Inktense pencils, and you could take watercolors. And then lastly, you could also take Albrecht markers, watercolor markers. So there's, you know, this is not the only thing you can take, obviously. I was more thinking from a convenience point of view, you know, when you're either going to be away or you're going to be in a hospital or you're going to be in confined to your bed type situation, you want to be able to just have something around you that you can just go, I can step in and create. All is not lost. You know, I can find my creative mojo. I can just, even if you just fill a page with just lines or little hearts or something, it doesn't matter, does it? The most important thing is that you are creating and that you are taking your mind off your situation at that time. Even have a little to-go bag in case you ever need it in a pinch. Get yourself a little watercolor journal to have as your backup, and then if you are organized, you won't need to scrummage for things. But of course, if you are more like me, you might need to scrummage. Anyway, please don't forget to like and subscribe if this video really resonated with you. If you just want to, pop on and follow me, that would be absolutely lovely. Thanks again for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful week. See you again soon. Bye for now.